Good morning. Welcome to Sacred Enzyme. I'm Stacy. I hope you're doing well today. Today I want to talk about the Temple of Solomon. And it's funny because I named my dog Solomon a long time ago. But what I want to talk about with the Temple of Solomon is the lore that's around the Temple of Solomon and how the Hebrew or the Jewish people, they talk about the Temple of Solomon. The Temple of Solomon was destroyed, right? And interestingly enough, the Temple of Solomon, they say that according to most Jewish teachings, the Temple of Solomon, also referred to as the Third Temple, will not be rebuilt until the arrival of the Messiah. Okay? And so I want to talk about what the Temple of Solomon really is. Okay, so Solomon is S-O-L-O-M-O-N. And Sol, S-O-L, means sun. And O is and M-O-N means moon. So it is the temple of the sun and the moon. Okay, so we know that the sun is the masculine and the moon is the feminine. So basically, and we've talked about the allegory of the Bible and how it was written by the Celts. Well, the Temple of Solomon is basically a merging of the divine masculine and feminine back together. And the Messiah, I've read along the way in these teachings that we've been learning about together, is that the Messiah is going to come back as a woman. And so basically, this temple is the divine masculine and feminine being balanced in one. So basically like original bicameral mind. And we've talked about the bicameral mind on some of the other videos. So it's interesting because we've been studying a lot of this old world architecture and how we've thought that this stuff was, it says that it's founded, most of it's founded. It was founded in such and such a time. It was founded in such and such a time. So a lot of these old world structures were already here, and there's sacred geometry built into them and a lot of other things. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about this morning is the Lincoln Memorial, the Lincoln Monument. And I have it up here. I don't know if you can see, and I'll put the picture as the thumbnail. But on the Lincoln Memorial, it says, let me see, it has a saying above it. It says, "In this temple, as in the hearts of the people for whom he saved the Union, the memory of Abraham Lincoln is enshrined forever." Okay, so that first line, in this temple. So we already know that the temple is a representation of the body. And at the Lincoln Memorial, you'll see Abraham Lincoln, he's sitting and he has his hands on two pillars. And he's sitting in the middle in a chair. Okay, that left pillar and that right pillar, those are representations of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And he's in the middle, which means that he is a combination of divine masculine and feminine, meaning that he is one balanced individual, that he brought himself up to his level of consciousness. And we know that Lincoln was pretty unusual because he's one of the only presidents that has a written record of speaking about the giants that inhabited our planet. And so it's quite telling that there would be a representation of Lincoln in the monument of and they call those fasties, and a lot of people have theorized that those were weapons, but it's actually pillars of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And so we go back to the same old thing. And in the Lincoln Memorial, there is X amount of pillars. I think it's 36 pillars, and if you add 3 and 6 together, you get 9, and 9 is the number of completion. And I just find it absolutely remarkable that we have so much of this coding in plain sight. And so today I start my first class with the Azarite teachings, the teachings of the Melchizedek Cloister Order. And my teacher has been sending us some information that he wants us to review and things to read and whatnot. And one of the things is that he often is a contributor on a podcast called Portal to Ascension on YouTube. And so they've been doing 11 Days of Awakening of Humanity series, and he's participated in those, and a lot of his colleagues have as well. So yesterday he sent us all an email in the class that it is taking this class for us to review those episodes. And so I had already reviewed some of them because I did talk to him last week to get all of my materials for my classwork. And I had started reviewing some of them, but I hadn't reviewed a couple of the other ones. So yesterday I was reviewing them, and I don't know if you watched the video that I did about my contact with, I thought it might have been Pleiadian beings, that I had this visit from these two beings, and one was bigger and one was shorter, and they had on like these blue type attire, and they had hair parted just down the middle, just like I parted my hair today, because I really wanted to show a representation of how their hair looked. It was just parted just like this, and it came down on the sides just like mine, except it was white. It was like really pale white, like light blonde, and they had pale skin. And so he had a guest on there yesterday that wrote a book on the different planetary species of these otherworldly beings. And I'm going to just start calling them star beings, because from the article, the CIA document that I read the other day on this channel, they said that they didn't like being called extraterrestrial, that they preferred to be called star beings. So these star beings, he has a book on all the different races of star beings, and he also has composite drawings, not illustrations. These are composite drawings from people that have actually seen these star beings. So, you know, I'm just kind of cruising through along and listening, you know, doing my work, and he comes to these two beings that are from this star system called Alpha Centauri. And I literally fell off my chair, because those were the beings that came to me that night in my sleep. And they're the ones that keep telling me about planting this garden and growing these beans and doing this stuff. And they walk along the side of my yard, and they put their arm back and forth, and they show me these plants, and they tell me that I need to put them there. So the one being's name is Antaral, and he has like a wife or a spouse, whatever you want to call it, a counterpart, and her name is Ezekiah. And just as described, just like the ones that I seen, and it totally flipped me out. I couldn't believe it. But you know, it was after that I saw that, I got a terrible headache. I got a headache in my eyes. I got a headache in my head. It was almost like my body physically reacted. I had to stop my studies, and I had to go lay down. And I fell asleep for 3 hours. I am not a big sleeper at all. I mean, I get up every day at 4:30 in the morning, like clockwork. And the fact that I had to lay down and I slept for 3 hours in the middle of the day was remarkable for me, because that just does not happen. And I found that was really interesting, is that I'm having validation all over the place. And you know, I often see several numbers. I see that I'm very closely intertwined with the number 1111, and I'm also very entwined with the number 1010. And matter of fact, my address used to be 1010 many years ago, and it was my address for many, many years. And I find it interesting is that these numbers, these 1010 and 1111, have to do with these Alpha Centauri beings, and it has to do with a combination of the Divine Mother and the Divine Father is 1111. And so do you see 1111? I mean, matter of fact, I have this necklace, it says 1111. And I got this years ago. It's just that I always see 1111. So my question I'm posing today is, do you know what your numerology number is? Is your numerology number 11? Mine is. Were you born in November? Or were you born in October? Because I was born October 28th. And 8 plus 2 is 10. So that's 10, 10. And my numerology number is an 11, and I was born in a 9 year, 1971. So, I mean, it's just crazy how, you know, we talked about the language, how our language has, you know, a vibration, and it has an intention, and our breath. And I'm going to do another video on that, because the more stuff that I'm learning here, I'm just blown away. You know, it's like all of these things are just starting to add up with me, you know, about, you know, the thoughts that I have. And a lot of times I go back to thinking about certain things, and I'm trying to work them out in my head. And then I'll come across this information that I just find really bizarre. And it all makes sense, you know, and you know, everything is about stargates when it comes down to it. It comes down to stargates, that our history's been taken from us, that we've been lied to, that the matrix that we're stuck in right now is a complete illusion, fabrication of lies, and mechanism of control. And you know, that just like Washington, D.C. and areas out west, is that there's so much sacred geometry into the Capitol buildings, and then we have star forts and all these things. These shapes they're not a coincidence. And I'm going to do a video on all of those, because I'm learning about fire letters, and I'm learning about our reverse Merkaba, and how our DNA codes have been deactivated through genetic manipulation and the morphogenetic field. And so it's the deceit is deep. The deceit is deep. And, you know, we're learning a lot of stuff about these celebrities. You know, we're learning about these celebrities that have been, you know, for their insurance money. And one of them I want to talk about is somebody that nobody's talking about, but he's very near and dear to me. And I had an experience with him when he passed away, and I was a lifelong fan of him. I was a fan of his, and from a teenager, and I saw him in concert, and that was George Michael. And a lot of people just think that George Michael, you know, died from a heart condition and whatnot. But we know what happened to Kim Porter, right? And, you know, George Michael did get a really bad case of pneumonia when he was on his last tour, and he almost died. But he had a very tumultuous relationship with Rupert Murdoch and our government, and he lived in Oakland for a long time. He originally started his fan club in Oakland, California. And I'm sure he ended up in LA like the rest of them, but, you know, he had that whole situation that went down in Roy Rogers Park. I mean, his sexuality was not a secret, but they were trying to smear him because he wanted out of his contract with Sony. So I'm going to do a big video on that, but, you know, there's a lost interview with George Michael where he just let it all out. And I watched it, and, you know, I saw him when he passed away. I saw him in one of my dreams. I astral traveled to where he was, and I got to see him, and I was really glad to see that he was at peace on the other side. So I'm going to come back and do a whole video on that, because I have a lot of information that I need to print out on it to, you know, to substantiate the claim that I'm making, that George Michael was offed. He wasn't compliant. He wasn't going to comply with the machine, and that's all there was to it. And so, you know, like the old saying goes, you either got to shit or get. And so he wasn't gonna do it. Matter of fact, his last freedom video that he did, he didn't even appear in it. And the reason he did that was a big FU to his record label. So anyway, you know, what do you think about this Temple of Solomon? Because I think it's pretty interesting. I think that the Temple of Solomon won't be rebuilt, right, until the female Messiah comes back. Until we bring back the divine feminine back into this planet, which she's coming. You know, we've been talking about this for a while. Divine Mother, she's on her way back. You know, and we got to honor her. But, yeah, when the Divine Mother comes back, that's when the third temple will be built. That's when the Temple of Solomon will be built. Oh, and the other thing is I know that I probably said this already, but, you know, Jerusalem is where one of the stargates is that connects to Sarasota. So I just find that really remarkable that, you know, Siesta Key, right by Siesta Key, is where the Stargate is. And that's exactly as we predicted. exactly where that hurricane was going to go, you know, that was wobbling, and it was a couple days before the hurricane came. I said, it's going to hit Sarasota. I don't care what they say, it's going to hit Sarasota, because that was the intended target the whole time. The intended target. And it did, and it did. So, you know, it's all about capturing Stargate. So I implore those people that live in Sarasota that got hit by this storm, do not give up your land. Do not. It doesn't matter if you only got one brick there. Do not sell your property, because that's what it's all about here, folks. It's getting access to these areas where these Stargates are, and we are guardians of these Stargates. So with that, I thank you for spending 15 minutes with me this morning. And it's a nice cool day today in Florida, and I'm a bit chilly. I had to take off my flannel shirt to do this video. I don't want to look like a hillbilly. But it's a cool day today, but it'll warm up quick. So with that, when you come find me, I'll be here, because we're living the past, present, the future, all at the same time. So don't forget to get outside today. Put your feet in the grass. Set your intentions for today and say, this is going to be a beautiful day. And give thanks to our Heavenly Father and our Divine Mother, Mother Earth. I hope to catch you on the next one, and have a good day. Bye-bye.